You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cricket Podcast for another IPL update. We've got action this week. We had proper action today, Max. Mumbai Indians losing just at the end to Lucknow Super Giants. Sunrisers, they lose again. Punjab, they win again. The IPL is upside down. It's all been good. The games haven't necessarily all been good, but the drama, the spectacle, it's been as good as ever. Great start to the season. How you doing, Max?
Yeah, good. Enjoyed today. Also, first day of the county championship. Red ball cricket's back in England. It's the 4th of April, and red ball cricket has started in the UK because that's how we do things. But the weather's nice. You actually could go out and play cricket today, unlike most years where it's 12 degrees and cloudy. So, yeah, you know, one upside of global warming, right?
Oh, yeah, one of the many upsides.
We'll have all year round red ball cricket.
All year round cricket. I mean, that's one of the plans, isn't it? This is an unusual start to the show, but one of the plans the ECB have been batting around with all the 100 money that they've just got is building
a roof stadium.
Mega stadium with a roof, yeah, so that they can.
Hey, we've been crying out for it for ages. It's about time.
Right. Yeah,
maybe they should do it in place of the new Old Trafford Stadium that Man United are planning on building. Scrap those plans.
England don't play 8 overseas test matches through the winter. There's an IPL, SA20. Like, if you know, what we need is more cricket in the middle of winter in England. Cool. Yep. Look, we've got lots of cricket. We have got a lot of cricket to talk about. It's been good. We'll be going through the games from Tuesday through to today. I think we'll do it in reverse chronological order. But before we get into things, if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you click that subscribe button. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple or one of the other podcast providers, make sure you're clicking follow or like or whatever the option is on your phone or audio device. And if you really like the show, why don't you consider becoming a Patreon? Patreon.com/The Cricket Pod from as little as, I think, £4. Could be $4. An amount of money. A month.
More dollars now.
I think it's actually pegged to the dollar. So if you're paying in pounds, it's a bad day.
It's your
Patreon. Yeah. If you're an American listener, which we do have, we have a size of it. It's our second biggest market, bigger than India. I don't know why, but it is. Great time to subscribe. Your currency's worthless, or soon to be worthless. Look, enough.
Invest in us instead.
Yeah, invest in the Cricket Podcast. Take your money out of stocks while you still can, and give it to us. And we'll make cricket content for you. There's a Discord. We're talking with Dan about doing some special Patreon shows. So watch this space. Sign up now. Max, let's talk cricket today. Mumbai v Lucknow. A low-key banger of a game, I thought.
It was, yeah. We've been waiting all week for a close game, and we got one finally. So that's good. Lucknow batting first at the Ekana Sports Stadium, home of not the best pitches in the world, but they became only the second side to rack up 200 batting first at the Ekana. Mitchell Marsh doing damage early on, 60 off 31. Aidan Markram ably supporting, and although we suggested that the hopes of Lucknow were rather pinned to Nicky P, and does he fire or does he not? He didn't fire, but in this particular case, it didn't really matter because they also had Ayush Badoni and David Miller putting some gloss on things at the end, and 203 for 8 was the final score for Lucknow. A pretty challenging chase for Mumbai, given that the highest record chase at Lucknow had been in the 180 region, so history needed to be made if they were going to do anything, and it didn't start that well. Will Jacks promoted to open in the absence of Rohit Sharma, still not able to make a dent in his early IPL Mumbai career. Ryan Rickleton flattered to deceive, 10 off 5, and it was looking a bit dicey, but then Naman Deer came in. He'd hit like 30 off his first 9 balls, and slowed down a little bit from there because I think it was about 15 off his next 15, but that got Mumbai back into a situation where they could challenge, and Suryakumar Yadav was doing his usual things. Unfortunately for Mumbai, they had an old stooge in the ranks, a bit of the Impact sub. Clearly, LSG had got to him, and he stank up the place. And yeah, I mean, it was a match losing innings, but Claxon time, first retirement out of the season, so that's a big bonus. We enjoy a retirement out. Unfortunately, though, I want to get your thoughts on it. Bit curious timing, I thought, to retire him out when there was only 7 balls left, and it was Mitch Santner coming in place of him. And Hardick was left with a bit too much to do at the end of the final over. 22 needed, didn't get there, and they closed it out, LSG. But we like a retirement out, but I would like to start with that because obviously that's going to be the talking point, Jack, if you don't mind. What do you think? Too late? Pointless?
I think probably was a little bit too late. I think it. Anyone who watched the game, or even just look at the scorecard, it's absolutely clear when Mumbai lost that in the chase, and that's Tilak's innings. I don't know. It was a bit weird from him. Like, I'm not sure why he didn't fire today. I think maybe he faced a little bit more of the spin than other batters in the team, and Bishnoi and Digvesh in particular. Actually, Bishnoi not so much, but Digvesh was borderline unplayable. They had no idea where the ball was going. So maybe his stats look a bit worse than they kind of actually were because he had to face the bowler who had a handle on the conditions. But also the shots he was playing didn't, I think, really make sense in the circumstances. We didn't see a lot of clean hitting down the ground. And that was sort of all he tried to do for his entire innings, or it felt like that's all he tried to do for his entire innings. To answer your point directly, I think I sort of said, like, if they'd retired him 8 balls before, it would have been really, really bold. But
yeah,
if he was struggling that much, maybe that gives Mitch Santner the chance to find his feet a little bit. Maybe that means
even retire him out before Sky falls, and
I think
give Hardick a chance. I mean, if you're gonna, it would be a ridiculously bold call to be retiring someone out after he's faced what would have been about 18 balls for someone who is clearly a quality player. But I think it felt like if you weren't going to be that bold to do it then, there was sort of no point in doing it when they did, because like I'd rather have Tilak Varma maybe a bit out of sorts, but then coming to face Shardul Thakur or Avesh Khan in the last over to hit a 6 for me than Mitch Santner facing a second ball.
I mean, for sure. I don't know. I think at that point, maybe when the horse had obviously bolted, I think they realised that he'd screwed up and they wanted to do something about it. But by the time they'd realised he'd screwed up, doing something about it was irrelevant. I mean, Santner faces 2 balls in the end, but I think he faced the last ball of the game after the match was lost. So the plan surely, the plan was basically for Santner to face 1 ball and then Hardik Pandya to face 6 balls.
Yeah.
Is Mitchell Santner more likely to hit that 1 ball for 6 than Tilak Varma in that form? Possibly. But we're probably talking about 0.2 of a run difference in expected outcome.
That's what I said. It's just pointless at that point, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe
the damage.
Maybe here's a thought. Maybe they did it to make doubly sure that LSG were going to get the over 8 penalty in that last over.
Maybe there were some sort of underhand tactics there. It was a strange one. I felt a bit sorry for Tilak. Sometimes it just isn't your day, and it can't be great to have not your day in a game that your team were fairly big favourites to win, according to the market. If you look on ESPN now, or any of the retrospective win trackers, it looks like Lucknow were ahead and we're going to win the game. But with 10 overs to go, Mumbai were fairly big favourites with sort of 6 overs to go.
Yeah,
They were
I
bigger
fancied them at
favourites.
the halfway stage when it was, they were 101 for 3
Yeah,
at 10 overs, I think.
with
You're
2
like
set bats
a
and
good
Surya Kumar
recovery,
Yadav.
2-step batters. Yeah, I was
And
backing them, but
at that particular point in the game, Lucknow only had 4 overs of Bishnoi and Digvesh left. So 6 overs of the Lord, Akashdeep and Avesh Khan. You really got to fancy,
you?
yeah, and and Tilak sort of bats them into a little bit of a hole. I mean, it's not like the rest of the team, by the way, are completely blameless here. I mean, Surya Kumar Yadav bats well, but he faces 43 balls, he gets 67. That's a strike rate of 151. I think, Max, that probably puts him just behind par in this chase.
Yeah.
So he's scored a bunch of the run. I'm not going to, it's clearly not a match losing innings, but it's not like Surya Kumar Yadav walked off with 80 or something like that. Like that's just keeping them at the tempo. And Hardik comes in 28 of 16. Again, not necessarily to blame him, and he is trying to pelt all the last balls of the game for 6. So it's very much all or nothing batting at that point. But that isn't like that wasn't the innings that they really needed from Hardik there. Even leaving aside Tilak Varma slowing things down.
Well, the innings they needed from
needed
Hardik
35.
was borderline miracle innings, wasn't it?
Well, no, but
which he's capable of. Maybe not miracle, but
they needed a strike rate of 2 a ball. When he comes in, and Hardik doesn't hit that, and it's not. I'm not here saying, the guy who comes in right at the end should be getting 32 off 16 balls, because that's not how cricket works. But like it's Tilak Varma really lets the side down, but there are other players in the mix. The 2 openers don't do anything, do they? I mean, it's
no.
The only player on the team who comes out with significant credit in the bank is Namandir, I think. And the bowling team was like bizarre. They just kept bowling miles down the leg side. So yeah, Mumbai lost that as a team. Tilak is the main offender. The non-retirement, bizarrely late decision is the too long didn't read of everything I just said.
Yep, very good. We mentioned Digvesh. He was pretty good. I mean, we've seen him. He looks. I called him a budget Narayan. I stand by it, but he was much better today. I thought. I think he managed. Basically, the difference for me with Digvesh today compared to some of the other times we've seen him was that he managed to mostly bowl at the stumps, whereas on occasion before he would quite often not do that, and it was bad. But when he gets it right, tricky. So add a bit of consistency to his game, and could be a find for LSG maybe.
I was really, really impressed with him. Obviously, with me being away for the first week of the IPL, I'd missed his first 2 matches. So I saw a bit of him against Punjab, and then I saw him today. And I think today he was head and shoulders above every other bowler in the match. I think the pitch and the ground dimensions probably suited him because it's quite a big surface, and I think he bowled most of his overs to right-handers with the long side being on the right-hander's slog side.
Yep.
And Tilak Varma just trying to hit him back down the ground, which didn't really make sense. But as you say, whether it was just the surface, keeping the stumps in play and keeping the ball sort of below the top of the stumps, or whether his accuracy was better, maybe he's relaxing a little bit more into the tournament. Who knows? There's a bunch of explanations that could be there. Maybe he's just very inconsistent 25-year-old. But they were big passages where Mumbai just looked. I think they've made their calculation. Yeah, they were like, if we can just get a runner ball off this guy, we'll probably be able to take down Shardul Thakur later. And that wasn't what happened, but that seemed to be the calculation they were making, and that's a lot of respect to be shown to this guy. Like Varma is an India player, not his day, as we've discussed. Surya Kumar Yadav, a legend of T20 cricket, couldn't really deal with him. And Hardik managed to sort of kick one for 4, didn't he? And sort of sweep it the corner, but they weren't like convincing shots. He had people confused. They were in a
It
muddle.
did. It was it was afforded the kind of respect that you tend to see afforded to people like Varun Chakravarti and Sunil Narayan in T20 cricket. And yeah, similar kind of bowler, obviously. So yeah, I'm pleased for him because there was he was a little bit ropey at times at the first week, I'd say, but that's coming into this LSG side that was, that bowling attack when in the first week or so of the competition was a ragtag band of whoever you could wheel out onto the pitch who had two functioning legs at the time. And now they've got a bowling attack. They've got a five, I guess, now with Digvesh having played a few games, 5 recognized bowlers. I still don't love it, but it's better than it was, and the batting's kind of overperforming. So it's all going. Yeah, it's all coming up luck now.
They've in the tournament so far they've hit 200 twice, and they would have hit 200 against Sunrisers Hyderabad, but the game ended.
If they needed to.
The pitch at Ekana is obviously better. I think some people had said that they'd relayed it. That obviously changes the dynamic for this batting side a little bit. Like Mitch Marsh, I thought would be a complete non-factor based on what I'd seen at LSG. Batting pretty well, gotta say. Like he looks all right. Markram might have probably thrown into that boat as well, and he sort of batted pretty well today as well. I do think we're probably seeing the best of the batting. Like I don't think it gets much better than this, and I think they'll need to maintain this level through the rest of the season to be a threat. They'll need Pant to not be rubbish.
I think that probably your flop for.
I had him as flop of the season. Yeah. I still think with 10 games to go, he'll somehow manage to get 350 runs over the season, and we'll say, not greatest year, but like
he's definitely registering on the flopometer, though, isn't he?
He's definitely flopping. He's flopping around like a giant barracuda. Like it's it's you can't ignore it. But like I think he'll probably.
I'm glad you said barracuda then, and not something else.
What else could I have said? Well, what? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
PG. So I think. People say regression to the mean, don't they? I'm not always sure people use that in the right thing when they say that they don't necessarily know what it means, but I believe in this case it would be the correct usage. I think we might see some regression to the mean for the Lucknow Super Giants batting group. And I actually I don't love the bowling, to be honest. I'm not really buying the pace attack as a top tier.
That's because it is objectively on paper not very good, Jack. That's why you're not loving it.
Yeah, look,
come on. They've had to drag Charles Tucker from not being picked up by anyone. A 33-year-old Charles Tucker, he's done well, sure, but that can't be the spearhead of your attack in the IPL. It can't. Surely.
I agree. I agree. I don't think you can bank on both openers, the other team, getting out playing the same pull shot to the same ball that should have been hit for 6.
Oh God, to the same boundary
to make the team 10 for 2. I don't think you can bank on like a player doing a Tilak Varma in every game. I mean, like by rights, Lucknow probably should have lost this match, even with their decent batting. They're 2-2. The net run rate isn't bad. I am happy for them. I'm happy for the IPL in general because I think it's better when all the teams are winning matches. I haven't seen anything from the matches I have seen them play, and maybe they did something in the 2 that I didn't. I haven't seen anything that makes me think that they'll finish with a 50-50 record. I think they're going to go south, but like it's as good a start as you could have hoped for in some ways. Yeah. For Lucknow.
Tough few games coming up though. KKR, Gujarat, CSK. I think
they could lose all of them. Like that's a very realistic possibility.
I forgot that they actually lost to Delhi in that game. That first game.
Yeah.
I mean that was bonkers, and they basically won it, and then they didn't. So despite this win and despite them overperforming what you'd expect, they are still 2-2, and sitting sixth, having played a game more than half the rest of the sides. So it's not like we're seeing an unexpected, surge into the playoffs. they're just not as horrific as they could have been.
They're the worst of the 6 teams that have won 2 matches.
Yes, and that is how they are placed in the table. So there you go, the table of truth.
Anything on Mumbai to wrap up? We did talk about Mumbai a lot on the last shows. We covered 2 of their matches, so you don't have to say anything about them. But
yeah, I was just gonna ask how much rope Will Jacks has got.
If they're clever, a bit more, but I don't know. What are their?
It can be reactionary, can't it? The IPL. I suppose the only thing in his favour is, you got limited options.
Well, this is what I'm going to say. I mean, if you look at their overseas options, and I'll run through them quickly now. They've got Trent Bolt. He's already in the team. He's a bowler. Will Jacks, he is back playing, and they've spent a fair amount of money on him. He's their second most expensive overseas player. Gazantha, a bowler. Mitchell Santner in the team and a bowler. Rickleton already in the team. Reece Topley, a bowler. Lizard Williams, a bowler. And then Bevan Jacobs, who is potentially someone who might come in, but I think I'd be a little bit surprised. To be honest, he's the, if people don't know, he's like a Kiwi who goes bonkers every time he bats. But
the Kiwi Fraser McGurk.
It is like the Kiwi Fraser McGurk, but he's played like 15 matches in mainly New Zealand. Maybe he's played one other. He played a bit for MI Emirates. Don't think he scored very many runs for them. So I think, I don't think it's necessarily a viable option to bring him in. I think, yeah, we'll see. But I would be surprised.
He'd have to have a few more games, I guess, of stinking the place out.
I can see randomly making him bat number 6. That's a sort of thing that happens, isn't it? Like that could be a thing. Look, we've done quite a long bit on this game. It was the best game. So
well, fortunately, this was the only interesting game. So
yeah, so we're going to take a break now, and then we'll come back and talk through the other 3 matches, probably at less length, to be honest. But a good start to the weekend. It sets you up well, doesn't it? If that game's good.
Yep.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Cricket Podcast. We're going through games in the IPL from this week. We talked about Lucknow Super Giants v Mumbai Indians. We're going to move on to KKR v Sunrisers Hyderabad, which was a blowout. Max, KKR, a repeat of last year's final. Actually, a fairly similar result in terms of hammering.
Yeah, a fairly one-sided showing. It didn't start that one-sided, though, because KKR batting first lost Sunil Narine and Quinton de Kock on the cheap. And it was 16 for 2 in the 3rd over. But Rahane came in, biffed it around a bit. Raghavanshi came in, 50 off 32 for him. And, got KKR back into a position where they could kick on. And boy, did they kick on, Jack, because I've never seen a game swing this much in the space of half an hour. Firstly, Venkayaya and Rinku Singh scoring between them 92 off of 46 deliveries. So that's strike rate of 200 each, but that doesn't really tell the full picture because it ended up being like 50 off the last 2.5, wasn't it? I think 50 for 2 off the last 2.5 overs. They ended up putting up some fairly horrific death bowling going on in the middle of all of that. Really set KK up to 200 at Eden Gardens, like I guess you'd say decent score, but you've not batted the other side out the game. But SRH once again batted themselves out the game. Travis Head, Abhishek Sharma, Ishan Kishan all disappearing in double quick time. 9 for 3. See you later. SRH, they fell quicker than Wall Street. And it
Mm,
was on Liberation Day, wasn't it? So fitting,
Yeah.
I suppose.
it was. Yeah, nice tribute to Donald J. Trump
Yeah,
from
the Orange Man,
from
the Orange
Hyderabad.
team,
Orange
and the
Man,
Orange Man
Orange team. Does make a lot of
doing
sense.
things in sync. Yeah.
Just keep an open mind on this sort of thing. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, like at the weekend, we did the whole Sunrisers Hyderabad. This is going to happen sometimes. It's happened again. They've won one of
It's
their
happened
first
3 times in a row.
matches. There's still an absolute wagon, but they're really going to have to play well from this point. Really, really well to make it through. You'd say, I mean, like let's do a quick net run rate look here. -1.6. Now, Sunrisers Hyderabad are a team who in one game can make that positive. Like,
Yes.
at this stage in the tournament, I'm not here saying, "Oh, that's a huge issue for Sunrisers Hyderabad." I think there's they've got 250 in their locker, and then they just need a team to collapse, or they've got a chase of 150 in 12 overs or something like that. These things they can handle that. It's the 7 wins that they're going to need that worry me a lot more. I would go as far as saying, Max, at this stage, Sunrisers Hyderabad are outsiders to make the playoffs.
Yeah, probably. I mean, what? So 7. We'll need 7 from the last. Is it 10?
Yeah,
10 games, which they can do it. Of course, they can do it, but they've made it difficult themselves. They are a wagon, but the wagon currently is lacking wheels. I think is where we are. I feel like they can. I hold out hope. I believe in the power of the Sunrisers. I believe the sun will rise again, but that's not based on logic. It's just pure vibes.
It's not. It's very possible that Sunrisers Hyderabad can win 7 matches. They could win 8 matches. They could win 9 matches.
They could just as easily, losing 3 on the bounce, falling apart with the batting. They could just as easily win the next 3 on the bounce, doing the reverse. Right? Like randomness is lumpy, as they say. You flip a coin 10 times, you'd expect 5 tails and 5 heads, but people irrationally expect it to alternate between the 2, and it's just as likely to get 5 heads and then 5 tails. And that's, I suppose, where you have to sit with this Sunrisers team, because the way they play cricket kind of is a bit random, isn't it? Let's face it. Their approach to the game is no holds barred, and that does leave you open to things like this happening. And I guess the variance means that you're going to get things like this happening just as often as you're going to get things like Ishan Kishan scoring 100 or 40. He's paid us all back for that 100 or 40. He's used up his credit.
I'm wondering as well. I mean, like looking at their team, if you're trying to sort of explain what's happening, I mean, the people will focus on the batting because the batting has failed. But in the matches this year, they conceded 242 runs to Rajasthan Royals. Oh, yeah, they were defending 286, so it's a comfortable win. But that's a lot of runs to concede to Rajasthan Royals. 193 to Lucknow. 166 for 3 in 16 overs to Delhi. 200 to KKR. Like this is a team leaking runs, and I do think. I do think that maybe the bowling isn't quite as good. Stating the obvious to some extent there. We've got Mohammed Shami coming back from injury.
Yes, exactly.
Who has a history, by the way, of blowing hot and cold in T20 cricket. He's not a nailed on, bowler. He's had a couple of very good years and a lot of years where he's been pumped. Pat Cummins in the Shami category, probably on that front. Decent last year, but his bowling this season hasn't been anything to write home about. Adam Zampa, I think, is good, but got a bit tap in the first 2 games, and now they seem to be a bit nervous.
Now he's out of favour
using him. Yeah. Harshal Patel, like a well documented history of carnage.
Plenty of wickets. Plenty of sixes.
Yeah. And Simoji, is he up to the task? Like, would you rather have Natarajan and Bhuvi or Shami and Simoji?
Yeah,
I would probably
would.
Yeah. So
Bhuvi.
maybe we're seeing a little bit of that. Let's see how it goes. Watch the space. KKR won. I think they're 2-2 now. They're thereabouts. Still a few doubts about some of the things they're doing, but if Venki is actually an elite number 5, then the ship seems to be sailing in the right direction. I would say.
Well, his flopometer is reducing rapidly.
He is reversed the flopometer, and I like to think that we had a role in that. We highlighted him on flopometer, and he stopped flopping and started to soar. So good for Venki, and to maybe a slightly lesser extent as well, Rinku Singh. Good to see him doing some stuff. Fun cricketer.
I just think with Sunrisers and their batting, I just feel like they could just afford to temper it ever so slightly in the power play. I think Ishan Kishan, they've had a bit of bad luck with some of the wickets. I think in the latest version was Ishan Kishan absolutely nailing a cover drive straight to a fielder. On another day sails away for 4 runs. But I think Abhishek and Travis Head, I know their game is obviously going for it, but it's the power play. There's 2 people outside the ring. Maybe just spend a couple of overs only looking for 4s rather than trying to hit everything for 6, because that's where they've got out. They were trying to hit everything for 6 and getting it slightly wrong. I don't know if they're assuming that everything is a road. There's been a little bit of swing, Vibe of Aurora got a little bit of movement and it makes it a little bit difficult. Just, I don't know, just take an over or 2, trying to hit 4s and then try and hit 6s. That just a tiny dial down in the impact. It could make a difference for them. I think, because I think they're believing their own hype at the moment.
I mean, look, that could be true. I do think if you're going to play the way they're playing, you kind of have to believe your own hype, because if you start thinking maybe everyone's right, we shouldn't be trying to hit 4s and 6s, then
that's not the baseball way, is it, Jack? You don't listen to everyone else. You do believe your own hype.
People are making this comparison, and they're not completely wrong in terms of the attitude you have to have. I would venture that Sunrisers Hyderabad are a better team than England. I would rather have Travis Head and Abhishek Sharma and Heinrich Klaassen and probably even Ishan Kishan and Nitish Kumar Reddy than whoever England are going to put out. I mean, Phil Salt's not bad, but then he blows hot and cold. It's a good batting lineup. It's failed. I think in the long run, being aggressive is the way they have to go. And I think if you look at their bowling, tempering that might not be it might be fool's gold. They might start getting 175, might start getting 185, but I'm not. No, I think they might need 205.
Only for 2 overs, just so that they're not 10 for 3 every game. Yeah.
Well, look, I think maybe. I think if you play an attacking shot, let's say you've got a 20% chance of getting out in the first over. You are unlucky if both your openers get out and your number 3 get out playing attacking shots, and they lose that lottery. You would expect an 80% chance of them sort of staying in per ball they're playing an attacking shot, and they're all out. Probably even more than 80%, to be honest. So yeah, a bit unlucky, basically, is what I would say.
Yep.
Move on.
Yep.
Next game, RCB v Gujarat Titans. It's RCB. They're back at the Chinnaswamy, Max. What happened?
Well, you take RCB back to the Chinnaswamy and RCB lose. They are the rules of cricket, and that is what happened. You bring Mohammad Siraj back to the Chinnaswamy in the beautiful colours of the Gujarat Titans, and he runs ring round his old RCB mates as well. He bowled very nicely indeed. 3 for 19 off his 4. That was the question we asked on Sunday. It was Siraj, boom or bust, back at the Chinnaswamy. Boom it was. And that, yeah, kind of. I mean, RCB didn't get enough runs in those 20 overs. They limped to 169, mainly thanks to, a sort of tortured 50 from Liam Livingston. He put a bit of gloss on it at the end with a few sixes, but it took him a while to get there. And Tim David coming in and hitting a few lusty blows in a pointless cause, because that's what I think Tim David does now. He just scores 30 off 15-ish in games where it doesn't matter.
The Dhoni roll.
The Dhoni roll, exactly. When was the last time RCB won a chase with Tim David scoring a boundary? And 169 for 8, and it was gobbled up by Gujarat. I mean, if there's one team that you would go out and say you have to score 170 runs and do it really comfortably, Gujarat is the side I would ask for. Sighted-Arson, Shubman Gill, Joss Buttler, yum, yum, yum. Give me the runs. Get me up the orange cap leaderboard. And it's done.
Look, there are a few good things in this game. Joss Buttler in full flow, batting like he didn't have a care in the world, is always worth keeping your TV on for, I'd say. And Siraj. Have you ever seen the film Nobody, Max?
No, I haven't actually.
Oh, it's great. So there's a scene in the film Nobody where Bob Odenkirk, who people will know as Saul Goodman from Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad, is on a bus, and some Russian gangsters are on the bus. And at this point in the film, you're not really sure who Bob Odenkirk is. And they start getting a bit uppity. And then Bob Odenkirk just decides to set them straight. And there's a massive punch up. And it starts with Bob Odenkirk getting absolutely clobbered. And that was a bit like Phil Salt hitting Siraj for a 106 meter 6 or 105 meter 6. And then Bob Odenkirk just unloads on the other team. It's like a kind of like a revenge thing going on there. Like there's thematically works very well. I'd recommend the film. I'd recommend checking out the Siraj highlights. It's very satisfying, I think, when a bowler does get absolutely marmalised, and then very next ball, middle stump smash.
Yeah. And if there's one person who's going to enjoy that more than anyone, it's Mohammad Siraj.
He's probably the greatest day of his life. Like it was for a game that really under-delivered in terms of tightness. It was actually pretty entertaining to watch. There were a lot of pretty good moments or pretty memorable moments, like and the main one I think probably is Siraj coming back and like dominating the Chinnaswamy, dominating his whole team, match-winning performance.
Rashid Khan managed to go for 54 in the middle of it all as well.
This is an interesting one actually, because he's having he didn't have a great year last year. He's having a really bad year this year. And I think it's if we're having flop watch, he's got to be on flop watch. I think we've got who have we got on flop watch at the moment? Rishabh Pant high up on flop watch.
Yeah,
Rashid Khan, Rohit Sharma, who mysteriously wasn't available for Mumbai Indians today. I think they're featuring high up on flop watch. I think with I have heard with Rashid Khan, I think it's sort of basically out there. It's not like I've got an inside source that he's had a bad back injury, and
he's had there for a couple of years, hasn't
he? He's sort of monitoring that, and so people are saying, "Oh, well, why can you not? Why is he bad now?" I think there's sort of two things that are happening. I think when you attack Rashid Khan, he is a worse bowler. I think he really thrives on people trying to negotiate him and treating him with a lot of respect. I think the players who have had success against him, obviously the one that really sticks out for people is Owen Morgan. Absolutely, took him to the cleaners at the World Cup.
Yeah,
but Liam Livingston is actually a player who has a very good record against Rashid Khan, and it's not because Liam Livingston doesn't have a defense. It's just literally doesn't figure in his conception of how cricket works.
Will Jacks did it for RCB at the Chinnaswamy last year as well, didn't he?
Yeah, I think you take something away from him a little bit. I don't know if he reacts to it sort of, maybe he's just not used to it, or maybe the skill he has doesn't match up very well with people trying to hit him for 6. I think that does some damage. And I think probably if you've got a back injury and you're a guy who relies on being able to spin the ball quite quickly in two different directions, like losing some flexibility in your back when you're trying to do something, like get your shoulder through so you can bowl a wrong un. You might it might spin 1 inch less or 2 inches less, a degree less, but that's massive at this level of cricket. Like that turns you from
That's the difference between
best
out
in the
and,
world.
Yeah, caught on the boundary and
gone. Yeah,
90 meters. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So keep an eye on it. I'm sure at some point we'll either find out more about the injury or he'll get over the injury and come back to being very good, because he has all of the sort of assets you need to be good, but it's not quite firing. It's very obvious it's not quite firing for him at the moment.
Yeah.
It's interesting little subplot for the Gujarat Titans potentially. Fortunately for them, like everything else is working fantastically. Siraj is good.
Picking up the slack.
Was good. Cycling Shaw's good. Yeah, like nothing to worry about. Max, we're gonna take another quick break.
Yep.
And then we shall come back with the last game.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Welcome back. I was going to say Willkommen. Is that even welcome? And I don't know what back is in German, so it would have been a terrible.
Zurich is back, but I don't know if that works with Willkommen. I'm going to have to get our German correspondent to help us out.
I could just go welcome back. Like that. I think they'd get
because it went so well last time you did a German accent,
to the cricket podcast. That was French. We've got one more game to talk about. Lucknow v Punjab. This was on Tuesday. Lucknow lost this one. So it's a double Lucknow special. Why are Punjab?
What more could you ask for from a cricket pod on a Friday evening, but double a helping of Lucknow Supergiants?
What happened? Tell me
what happened. What happened indeed? It wasn't great for Lucknow. They faltered throughout the batting innings, shall we say? And Punjab basically did a pretty good job with the ball. No one got much tap. Arshdeep went for a bit, but he took 3 wickets. So you take that. They used their options well. Marcus Stoinis coming in and bowling a couple of overs and keeping it tight. Glenn Maxwell with 3 doing his usual role and mixing things up. He got flop watch Rishabh Pant for 2 or 5, and it never got going for Lucknow. It was the kind of Lucknow performance that we more anticipated from their batting lineup, particularly if Nicky P didn't do the biz, and Punjab just made very light work of it. Prabhsimran Singh got the honours of top scoring for Punjab. It had been the Priyansh Arya show for Punjab so far this year, out of the 2. But it was Prabhsimran's turn. He put in a good performance, and it was very much icing on the cake from Shreyas and Anil Wadera as well. He got to have a go. A who's who of quite good Indian batters for Punjab saw it home. I mean, I'm struggling to find much to say, so I'll stop because it was another blowout, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, there's the things to say are probably that Punjab look all right.
Quite good.
We've talked about Lucknow, the positives and the negatives. Go back to the beginning of the show if you want to hear our thoughts on Lucknow.
They're all the same. Yeah,
they are. So that would be a very similar conversation. Punjab, I wouldn't say so far they've been hugely tested.
No. They've been kind of workmanlike in their wins, haven't they?
They did back up a bunch of runs against Gujarat, so that's not. Maybe that's something very positive to say about them. They scored 240 against decent Gujarat side, and did manage to defend it. Went around the houses a little bit, but they did manage to defend it.
You got over the line. What matters?
Then they beat Lucknow, who I don't, we're not too hot on, but they beat them pretty comfortably. And they seem to be doing quite a lot of decent things. Is this the Ponting effect, Max? Has Ponting come in and said, no more Comedy Kings? We're here to bet on greyhound races and play cricket.
This is a guy who's come from a franchise who are pretty comedy themselves, right? In Delhi. So I'm not sure I'm going to lay all of the praise at Ponting's door. But it is a revamped Punjab side, isn't it? They've got rid of most of the old guard, separated the wheat from the chaff, if you like. Spent a bunch on Shreyas Iyer, which looks like so far of the 2 data points we have to go from this
great Punjab
effort this year, looking like a good move, isn't it? Captain Shreyas.
You can't ignore it. If we're going to give Ponting maybe a little bit of credit for making them okay for 2 matches, Shreyas Iyer, who comes with a captaincy reputation, comes with captaincy cachet in terms of what he's done in the IPL before, has seemingly had an impact on this team. I think that the captaincy point's probably slightly overstated, but you can't argue with a 90 and a 50, both very quick.
Yeah, to be honest, it's the batting as much as anything that's been impressive for me, because we've said it a lot about Shreyas Iyer. He's a fine player. He and not fine as in he's fine, he's okay. Like, he is a fine wine, that kind of fine
specimen,
a fine specimen indeed. But is he pure T20 ballast, smashing it all over the place, or more like very nice, more ODI stroke maker kind of player? But and obviously we've talked about his weaknesses against the short ball, but he's obviously done loads of work on that. I mean, he spent a lot of the Champions Trophy getting peppered by short balls and not seeming to be too bothered by it. You can definitely see that there's sort of been a change in the way he sets up to try and deal with that, and he's been powerful with the bat, like a level of aggression and power that I didn't necessarily associate with Shreyas Iyer, but he's clearly added something to his game. So even aside from the talk about the captaincy, he's looking like a real player.
I totally agree with that. I think it'll be really interesting to see how it goes over the rest of the year. As you said, Max, there are 2 data points. There's like lots of people, I think, quite rightly highlighted that Shreyas Iyer went for too much money at the auction. And now lots of people who said that are getting a lot of grief for having said what was a very, very reasonable thing to say.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's T20 career is not a 25 crore cricketer. This is a decent tempo anchor batter who doesn't even score in particularly high volumes. Like that was what you were buying. I find it unlikely, to be honest. I basically don't believe that someone at Punjab Kings knew that or knows
this was
that
what they were
he's had some sort of magical transformation. Yeah. They might think he was a little bit better, but I don't think they were thinking, okay, after 2 games, he's the MVP batter in the league. Like, I think they were thinking, okay, look, maybe he'll score at 140 and average 33, which would be an upgrade on the previous iteration. And, with his captaincy, maybe we can work with that. So I'm gonna slightly pump the brakes on it. I think it's really interesting that he has been excellent in 2 matches. Maybe it's the environment, maybe it's reuniting with Ricky Ponting. Who knows? But I'm going to temper it slightly, and I'm going to say I'm going to watch this space. Definitely not on flop watch. He's on MVP watch. I'm going to say that. He's on MVP.
We still need to work out a name for that, don't we?
Yeah, but I'm also not going to sit on a podcast after 2 matches and say what an unbelievable piece of business, because
we've done that before.
Probably
it
is
looks
overpriced.
Foolish. Yeah.
So
stick to your guns. Yeah. I mean, even if he turns out to be like MVP and continues even 75% of this form and Punjab win the IPL with him as captain, still think he's overpriced. No one's ever spent that much money before.
If they win the IPL, then it's a great purchase, isn't it? Like,
it's a great purchase, but still a lot of money.
Universe aligned. The universe aligned.
Yeah.
At the time, you can retrospectively say that didn't make too much sense, but you will have
But
to
it all
also
worked out
say
and well
it
done.
turned out well. But yeah, it is Punjab being a team to watch after 2 matches is fun. People who like Punjab, I think, like us, have been waiting a long time for Punjab Kings to look like a force to be reckoned with. It's nice that the Punjab dawn has arrived. Well, I mean, yeah. Well, let's say it. Let's call it. This is Punjab's time.
This is the
Look,
Punjab
Max,
dawn.
We've got 4 matches to talk about for the weekend quickly. 3 matches, actually. There's only 1 game on Sunday. Mysterious.
Why do they do this?
I have no idea. Chennai Super Kings v Delhi is tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
What's going to happen there?
Well, it's tough to. It's always tough to bet against Chennai at home, but they're a bit out of sorts. They just lost to RCB, and if there's a side that you would like to turn up to the Chipawk and do a job, it might be one that has Akshar Patel and Kuldeep in it. And someone like Faf, who's been in the IPL for a long time and a lot of experience playing at Chennai. It maybe might not suit the game of someone like Jake Fraser McGurk, but there are plenty of guys in this Delhi side that know exactly what the Chipawk is all about, and have got the ability to exploit that. So I don't normally do this, Jack. I don't normally bet against my yellow boys, but I quite fancy Delhi.
I don't. I think Chennai are going to win. Apparently, Dhoni's in line for a captaincy return. Gaikwad's got an injury concern, so Dhoni could be leading CSK.
Oh well, in that case, CSK will win.
Probably be the last time ever. There's lots of retirement rumours coming out today, which are fair and understandable.
Well, bearing in mind, Stephen Fleming's literally come out and said, like, we don't think Dhoni can physically bat for 10 overs. Like,
yes, yeah.
I don't know. We're moving towards 5 over cricket here. It's a bit silly, isn't it?
It's a very lucrative Masters circuit. That's what I'm going to say. Probably get paid more playing Masters cricket than he will for CSK, at least officially.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to say Dhoni back, Chennai win. Everyone's happy. Yeah. In the afternoon, Punjab Kings v Rajasthan Royals. You've got to be taking Punjab Kings here. I'm sorry.
You have to, surely.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but Punjab Kings, it's a no-brainer. Like, look
first
at the
bid ninth.
It's the IPL. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. It's Punjab Kings. There's double anything can happen. Anything can happen squared. But based on what we've seen, I mean, surely Punjab are the favourites for that one. And then that leaves us with Sunday. I'm not even going to talk about the rest of that game. It's just obvious. Sunrisers Hyderabad v Gujarat Titans. Max, the season is on the line already for Sunrisers Hyderabad.
It is, yeah.
Can Gujarat put another nail in the coffin?
They certainly have the ability to, Jack, because, I mean, they're a good side. They've got a potentially good bowling unit. We've got, you look at the way the two sides have been trending with, those early wickets from Siraj and Lottery Krishna, as we like to call them. They've been winning a lot on scratch cards lately, have Gujarat Titans, and that is why I think it's time for a return. Sunrisers, they lost 3 on the bounce, and they've lost 3 on the bounce by being a bit bad with the ball, but also by being 4 for 3 after 2 overs. And Gujarat, on the flip side, have been getting people 4 for 3 after 2 overs with early wickets from Siraj and Krishna. So if there's anything we know about cricket, it's that it's going to go completely the opposite direction. It's going to be like 90 for none after 5 overs, and Sunrisers are going to pound Gujarat into the ground. That's what's going to happen.
There's another Siraj narrative.
Yep.
Through thread here. He had a big bust up with Travis Head in the BGT, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah. And that is the kind of thing that will scramble his brain, isn't it? And cause him to bowl quite badly. It happens a lot.
Yeah. He was very focused for that RCB game. If you get that Siraj, I'm backing Siraj, but history tells us that that's not the Siraj we always get. Like pumped up Siraj can,
and obviously
go
Sunrisers have got Gujarat legend Mohammad Shami on their side. So,
oh yes, there's that'll be a fun one. I fancy Sunrisers to get their season back on track there as well. And that will get us through to Sunday. I think we've got a show on Sunday evening. I said that about Wednesday, but then everyone went and tried on suits and saw some weird stuff like that. But I think Sunday is a banker. So we'll see you then.
Good stuff. Goodbye.